Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English Pods. I am Leonardo.
Whoa! Good morning, students. And I'm Elizabeth.
Today, we are diving into something a little different, like really different.
Different good or different,
Oh, definitely different good. Today, we are exploring an essential topic for anyone looking to excel in English. All right, so today we're going to take a deep dive into how to overcome shyness.
Sounds good.
And, I think a lot of us have felt that twinge of hesitation in a social situation or even,
Yeah,
kind of wanted to fade into the background a little bit.
absolutely.
So we're going to really unpack this and explore some practical strategies
Yeah,
to feel more comfortable and confident.
for sure.
So what's interesting to me is that this source,
Yeah,
How to Overcome Shyness, doesn't jump right into solutions.
right.
It really emphasizes understanding where this shyness comes from.
Yeah, like getting to the root of it,
Yeah,
which I think is key
totally.
if you want to move past it.
So it points out that shyness can stem from,
Yeah.
a bunch of things.
Yeah,
Like our genes, the environment we grew up in, our past experiences.
all that.
And, one of the key factors that it highlights is this tendency to overthink
Oh, yeah.
our interactions.
Like replaying those conversations in your head. Just analyzing everything you said and what others might have thought.
Yeah, like it's almost this mental loop
Mm-hmm.
that can really amplify those feelings of self-consciousness.
Big time.
But that, what I thought was really interesting
Yeah.
was that the source actually suggests
Uh-huh.
reframing shyness as a potential strength.
Interesting.
So instead of seeing it as this weakness,
Yeah.
it encourages us to look at it
Yeah.
from a different perspective,
That's right.
like almost flipping the script.
Yeah, I like that.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, think about it this way. People who are shy
Yeah.
often develop incredible listening skills.
Oh, that's true.
Right. They're more in tune with those subtle cues, less likely to interrupt,
Right.
really focused on what the other person's saying. And,
Yeah.
in a world where it feels like everyone's clamoring for attention, it's a pretty powerful skill.
That's a really good point. I've never thought about it that way,
Right.
but it's true.
It's like taking what we perceive as a negative
Yeah.
and turning it into something positive, which
Yeah.
is pretty powerful.
And those listening skills often go hand in hand with empathy.
Absolutely.
Right.
Shy individuals, they're super sensitive to the feelings of others. They
Yeah.
tend to be more thoughtful, more considerate,
Mhm.
which can be incredibly valuable,
Yeah.
especially when you're building strong relationships,
Absolutely.
both personal and professional, actually.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
It makes a big difference.
So it sounds like instead of trying to erase shyness completely,
Right.
maybe it's about recognizing those strengths
Mm-hmm.
and figuring out how to use them to our advantage.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that.
It's harnessing the power of observation,
Yeah.
empathy, thoughtfulness.
Yeah.
Things that are so often,
Yeah.
overshadowed in this culture,
Yeah.
where it's all about extroversion
Absolutely.
and being super outgoing.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Gotta have a little bit more of the quiet ones, too.
I think so.
I'm a little biased.
Me too.
But, it's true.
So this deep dive has me thinking about shyness in a whole new way.
That's good.
But you mean
Yeah.
the source does provide a lot of practical steps
Oh, yeah. Tons of them.
to help people feel more comfortable in social situations.
For sure.
Like it doesn't just stop at reframing shyness.
Right.
It offers these concrete strategies
Absolutely.
for moving forward.
So it's like, yeah, let's look at it a different way.
Yeah.
But also, here's what you can do
Totally.
to make some actual change.
And it all starts with this simple but powerful idea.
Okay.
Start small.
Yeah. Small steps.
Right.
That's what it's all about.
The source emphasizes setting realistic goals.
Yeah.
Like if public speaking is your biggest fear,
Yeah. Use that as an example.
right, don't aim for a TED Talk right away.
Right.
Maybe start by,
Yeah.
sharing your thoughts in a smaller group
Mm-hmm.
or volunteering to present a project at work.
Something smaller.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's kind of like train for a marathon.
Exactly.
You wouldn't run 26 miles on your first day, would you?
No.
You got to build up to it.
Totally.
Same with this.
And the source also talks about the power of self-affirmations,
Oh, yeah.
which I know can sound a little cheesy to some people,
Maybe a little.
but, it really can be effective.
Yeah, they really can.
And it's really about shifting that inner dialogue
Yeah.
from self-doubt to,
Self-encouragement.
yeah,
Really shifting that focus
totally.
from negative to positive.
And the source even gives some examples, like,
Yeah.
I am capable of handling social situations, or,
That's a good one.
I have valuable things to contribute.
Yeah.
It's all about, reminding ourselves of our strengths.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what's important is you find those affirmations that really resonate with you.
Yeah.
What are your unique strengths? What are the things that you want to remind yourself of?
What qualities do you want to cultivate?
Totally. I think it's about personalizing those affirmations to make them feel truly meaningful.
Yeah, that's the key.
And, I think that's a good place to stop for today.
Sure.
We've covered a lot of ground so far.
Yeah, we have.
Understanding the roots of shyness, reframing it, starting small, those affirmations.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the practical tips.
Oh, yeah, we're getting to the good stuff.
For actually interacting with people.
Yeah.
The source calls it the social skills toolkit.
We'll get into that next time.
Yeah, we'll dive into all of that in our next part.
Sounds good.
So join us for part 2 of this deep dive as we explore the social skills toolkit and more.
Awesome.
See you then. All right, so we talked about kind of reframing shyness, looking at it as a strength, using those affirmations, starting small.
Absolutely.
But now I'm really curious about these anxieties that can fuel shyness.
Yeah.
And how we can tackle those head on.
Yeah, so the source gets into some pretty powerful techniques.
Yeah.
And one of them is challenging those negative thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
Those voices in our head that tell us, you're not good enough, we're not interesting enough, we're going to say the wrong thing.
Oh, I know those voices. Wait.
It can be so loud, right?
Sure.
And what the source points out?
What's that?
Those negative thoughts.
Yeah.
They're not always an accurate reflection of reality.
Okay.
It's more like a distorted lens that's magnifying our fears and insecurities, making them seem bigger than they are.
So how do we deal with these negative thought spirals?
Well, the source suggests a technique called cognitive reframing.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Yeah, have you?
Yeah, but can you explain it a little bit more?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, how does that work in real life?
Okay, so let's say you're about to go to a party.
Right.
And that familiar thought pops up. Everyone's going to think I'm boring.
Oh, classic.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a classic shyness trigger.
Yeah.
And instead of letting that thought take over, you can try to reframe it.
Okay.
You could say to yourself, well, I do have some interesting hobbies, and I'm a good listener.
Yeah.
Even if I don't click with everyone, that's okay.
Right.
It's impossible to be everyone's cup of tea.
That's so true.
So it's about shifting that perspective and challenging that initial thought.
So instead of those automatic negative thoughts, we're replacing them with something that's more
empowering.
Yeah, more positive and empowering.
Yeah, exactly.
Like retraining our brains a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
And, another thing the source talks about is exposure therapy.
That's a big one.
I know that can sound a little intimidating.
Yeah, a little bit.
But it's really a gradual process, right?
Absolutely.
Of facing our fears.
It is.
So how does that work exactly?
Well, it's based on this idea that the more we avoid something we're afraid of, the scarier it becomes. So by gradually exposing ourselves to it, we can start to kind of chip away at that fear.
So baby steps.
Baby steps, that's it.
So for example, if someone is really anxious talking to new people, what would that look like?
Well, instead of avoiding social gatherings altogether, maybe you start by striking up a conversation with the cashier.
Okay.
Or asking a coworker about their weekend.
Okay, so like small interactions.
Small interactions, just to kind of build that confidence.
Right, and kind of prove to ourselves it's not as scary as we think.
Right, and that those situations that we fear aren't as terrifying as they seem in our heads.
Totally. So it's about desensitizing ourselves a little bit to those triggers.
That's the key.
And, the source also emphasizes the importance of celebrating our wins.
Oh, yeah, big time.
No matter how small they are.
No matter how small.
It's so easy to get caught up in like, oh, I'm not there yet.
Right.
Or I didn't do this.
Because I didn't do it perfectly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, just acknowledging those small victories, it can really boost our motivation.
Absolutely.
And our confidence.
For sure.
To keep going.
Totally. Like even something as simple as making eye contact with someone you find intimidating.
Totally.
That can be a huge win.
That's a great point.
And it's recognizing those moments.
Yeah.
And celebrating them. Those moments of courage that are pushing us outside our comfort zone.
I think it's really interesting how this deep dive is highlighting the importance of mindset.
Yeah, absolutely.
In overcoming shyness.
it's not just about the skills, right?
Yeah, it's not just those social skills.
That's about that inner work.
Yeah, it's about cultivating that confidence and self-compassion.
That's key.
And, the source doesn't just focus on individual strategies.
Yeah.
It talks about the importance of support and surrounding ourselves with positive people who encourage us.
Right, that lift us up.
Yeah, like having that cheerleading squad.
Exactly.
To help us through it.
It's like having your own personal support system.
Totally.
Reminding you of your strengths, encouraging you to keep going.
Yeah, and the source also talks about, sharing our journey with trusted friends or family members.
I think that's huge.
Yeah, it can be so liberating.
It can.
Sometimes just talking about it can really help.
Vulnerability can be scary, but it can also be incredibly powerful. Creating those deeper connections, that sense of understanding.
Yeah, it's like saying, hey, I'm working on this.
Yeah.
And I might stumble along the way, but I'm committed to growth.
And you know what? When we open up to others, often we find that they're facing similar challenges.
It's true.
So it creates this sense of community, right?
Yeah.
And it reminds us that we're not alone in this.
I love that. That's a really good point.
We're all in this together.
And, this deep dive has been so insightful so far.
It has been.
We've covered so much.
Tons of stuff.
Reframing shyness, challenging those negative thoughts, exposure therapy, building that supportive network.
Absolutely.
But the source also talks about, a more specific type of anxiety that can be linked to shyness.
Social anxiety.
Yeah. And while all the strategies we've talked about can be helpful, the source does emphasize that, when we're dealing with social anxiety, it's important to seek professional help.
It really is.
Social anxiety is a real condition.
It is.
And it's treatable.
Absolutely. And there are therapists out there who specialize in helping people manage social anxiety and build that confidence in social situations.
And the source specifically mentions CBT.
Yeah, cognitive behavioral therapy.
Which is really interesting because
it's a good one.
We talked about cognitive reframing.
Yeah.
But CBT takes that to
a whole other level. Yeah.
Whole new level.
Yeah, for sure.
So could you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, so CBT is a type of therapy that helps people identify and challenge those negative thoughts and develop coping mechanisms to manage anxiety.
And so it's like taking all those techniques we've been talking about.
Yeah.
But you have the guidance of a trained professional.
Right, exactly.
To help you through it.
Yeah, and one of the things that's really cool about CBT is that it's action-oriented. It's not just sitting around talking about your anxiety. It's like, okay, here's a plan to address this head on.
Yeah, I like
and build that confidence through experience.
Through real life experiences.
Absolutely. Yeah. Putting it into practice.
So it's about giving people the tools and strategies to navigate those social situations.
Yeah, to feel empowered.
Yeah, and with more confidence.
Exactly.
I think that's a really good point.
And it's a powerful message,
Yeah.
Social anxiety, it doesn't have to define you.
Yeah.
There are treatments available.
Yeah.
And with the right support, you can make progress and live that fulfilling life that you deserve.
I love that.
And this deep dive has really emphasized it's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
There's so many different approaches and strategies.
Yeah.
And it's about finding what works for you.
Yeah, that's so true.
What resonates with you.
Absolutely.
What feels good
totally.
And what helps you make progress.
Yeah. But I think the most important thing is that you don't have to go through this alone.
You don't. That's the big takeaway. Whether it's working with a therapist, confiding in a friend, joining a support group.
Yeah.
There are people out there who get it and want to help you.
Yeah. That's a really powerful reminder.
We're not alone.
And, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on one of the source's key messages.
Okay, sure.
This idea that overcoming shyness is not just about fitting in, but about unlocking this whole new level of confidence and connection.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It is.
It's such a powerful message, especially in this world.
Yeah.
Where it feels like everyone's going to be on all the time.
Yeah, like constant extroversion.
Yeah, like you got to be the life of the party.
Totally.
And it's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
You can be yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
You can be quiet.
You can be introverted.
You can be introspective.
And still thrive.
And still have those amazing connections.
Yeah, it's like giving ourselves permission.
It is.
To embrace your authentic self.
Yeah, even with our quirks and vulnerabilities.
Absolutely. And when we allow ourselves to be seen and heard, we open ourselves up to so much more.
Yeah, like a whole world of possibilities.
Deeper connections, richer experiences.
Yeah.
A sense of belonging that goes way beyond fitting in.
Yeah, I love that.
It's a shift.
Yeah.
From trying to mold ourselves into something we're not.
Yeah.
To embracing who we are.
And all these unique qualities.
Yes, and sharing them with the world.
And sometimes, those connections come from the most unexpected places.
They do. Like you strike up a conversation with a stranger at the coffee shop.
Yeah.
Or you have a deeper conversation with a coworker.
Yeah.
That you've only talked to, superficially before.
It's true. It's about being open to those moments.
Open to the possibility.
Even when they feel a little uncomfortable.
A little outside your comfort zone.
But you never know.
Right.
What can happen.
You never know what kind of magic can unfold.
Yeah.
When we allow ourselves to be a little vulnerable.
Yeah.
A little authentic.
I think that's a really good point.
And this deep dive has given us so much to think about.
It really has.
We've talked about understanding shyness, exploring those strategies, challenging those negative thoughts.
Yeah, embracing self-compassion.
Yeah, it's been a journey.
But as we wrap this up, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought.
Okay.
What's one small step you can take today to feel a little bit bolder, a little bit more connected, and a little bit more like your true, authentic self?
Maybe it's reaching out to a friend you haven't spoken to in a while.
That's a good one.
Giving a genuine compliment to someone you admire.
Absolutely.
Or even just smiling at a stranger as you pass them on the street.
Small things, right.
Small things.
But they can make a difference.
Yeah, those small actions can make a big difference.
They can have a ripple effect.
Totally.
And, when we choose courage over comfort, connection over isolation, authenticity over pretense, we create a world that's a little bit brighter, a little bit kinder.
Absolutely.
And a little bit more welcoming for everyone.
Beautifully said.
So as you go about your day today, remember everything we talked about.
Yeah.
Embrace your strengths.
Challenge those fears.
Be kind to yourself.
And never underestimate the power of connection.
That's what it's all about.
Until next time, keep diving deep. So I think we left off talking about how overcoming shyness isn't just about fitting in.
Right.
It's about unlocking a deeper level of confidence and connection.
Exactly.
And, one thing the source emphasizes is self-compassion.
Oh, that's so important.
It's a journey, not a race.
Yeah.
And it's best to approach it with kindness. Toward ourselves.
It's so easy to be critical of ourselves.
Yeah, especially when we're trying to push those boundaries.
Absolutely. You want to make progress. You want to see results.
Yeah.
But, setbacks happen.
They do.
It's part of the process.
They are.
And being kind to yourself through that can really make a difference.
It's like being our own best friend.
Yeah.
Instead of that inner critic,
absolutely,
we're offering that support.
Yeah, like you would to a friend.
Yeah, exactly.
And, that self-compassion can extend to how we view shyness itself. Oh, that's interesting.
Instead of seeing it as this flaw, this thing we need to fix, maybe it's a part of who we are.
Yeah.
A part that might actually have some strengths.
Yeah.
And sensitivities that we haven't even discovered yet.
I like that.
Yeah, it's about accepting ourselves as we are, warts and all.
Yeah.
Even the parts that make us feel a little less confident sometimes.
Yeah. It's about recognizing that our worth doesn't depend on how outgoing we are.
No, not at all.
Or how social we are.
It's about embracing who you are.
Yeah.
Your individuality.
Yeah.
And understanding that there's room for all types in this world.
That's a good point. And that brings us back to connection.
Yeah.
Overcoming shyness. It's not just about feeling comfortable.
Right.
It's about opening ourselves up to those deeper relationships.
Absolutely. And those relationships, they can come from anywhere.
They can, yeah.
Right.
Like a conversation with a stranger. Yeah, at the grocery store.
Or a deeper connection with a coworker.
Exactly.
Someone we haven't really connected with before.
And it's about being open to that.
Yeah.
Even if it feels a little scary.
It's a little outside that comfort zone.
But you never know
what
can happen.
Yeah, the magic that unfolds.
When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
To be authentic.
So this has been a really thought-provoking deep dive. We've covered so much.
A lot of ground.
Reframing shyness, building confidence, challenging those thoughts, self-compassion.
It's been a journey.
It has. But I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Okay, I like it.
What's one small step you can take today to feel a little bolder, a little more connected.
Yeah.
It's a little more like your true self.
That's the question, isn't it?
It is.
Maybe it's reaching out to a friend.
Yeah.
Someone you haven't talked to in a while.
Yeah, or offering a genuine compliment.
That's a good one.
To someone who inspires.
To someone.
Yeah, someone you admire.
Yeah.
Or even just smiling at someone.
Yeah.
As you pass them by.
Small things can make a big difference.
They really can.
It's about those small steps.
Yeah.
Those little acts of courage.
Because,
yeah.
When we choose courage over comfort, connection over isolation,
yeah,
authenticity over pretense, we create a world that is better.
Absolutely. A brighter world.
Yeah, a kinder world.
A more welcoming world.
For everyone.
That's what it's all about.
So as you go about your day,
yeah,
remember everything we talked about today.
Embrace your strength.
Challenge those fears.
Be kind to yourself.
And never underestimate the power of connection. Until next time.
Keep diving deep.